How's it going, guys? And thanks again for being here. Today I'm reviewing another product from Weeylite. This is the Weeylite Ninja 20. As a matter of fact, I actually reviewed the Ninja 400 Mark II about 3 weeks ago. And I'm also going to be comparing side by side with the Ninja 400 Mark II. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. And the usual disclaimer, they send me these lights for me to test it out. I don't get paid to say anything here, and all my words and opinions are my own. In this video, I'm going to tell you up front everything that I plan to show here. For example, I'm actually going to be reviewing this light. Right now, the lights are just bouncing on the ceiling, whatever. But of course, I'm going to take the Ninja 20 right there in the studio with an actual subject with a softbox and all, so you guys can see how this light actually looks like in front of a person for an interview set using a softbox and all. And I'm also going to be measuring the brightness between the two lights. This one, what you get for 200 watts, and what you get for 150 watt light on this particular brands and models here. And I'm also going to be showing you guys on the wall how these reflectors are doing, and also the color temperature, because this one here is slightly magenta, this light is a little bit green, so I'm going to show you guys all that stuff here. And I'm also going to leave the other specifications of this light, so you're actually welcome to pause the video and look at the stuff that you're looking for. Looking at both of these lights, as you can see, they're pretty much identical body-wise or hardware-wise. As you can see, it's the same exact body, the same locking mechanism, the same exact yoke, other than this one has two holes on its side, the other one does not. At the making of this video, the Ninja 20 cost $288 and the Ninja 400 Mark II cost $399. Also, there are differences and accessories that this light does not come with and this light does come with. For example, this light features a case, this one does not. This light comes with a remote control, such as this one here, which is pretty much all you need to control this light, even though it's controllable by the app. This particular light comes with the LED protective little cap. That one does not come with that. Both of these lights, they feature a glass element, which helps you protect your LED when it takes us outdoors, so no bugs can crawl in here and damage your standing LED light. The Ninja 20 is a 200 watt light, daylight only, and the Ninja 400 is a 150 watt light, bicolor. This light comes with a ballast, and this one here, for being a 200 watt, obviously includes a very large power supply, which you're gonna have to mount somewhere on the stand. The way I do, I always attach a little furniture pad with a little bit of a Velcro and put it very tight here, and this block is not gonna go anywhere, which is pretty cool. So you can actually raise the stand as high as you want and everything goes with it, which is pretty convenient. This is particularly important, especially the size and weight of this power supply, so you don't want any stress on the scale, especially with electrical cables. So always give a little slack and always mount it right here. And also notice on the Ninja 400 Mark II, on the ballast, it features a V-mount option, which means you can actually take this light on the field via DC, while the Ninja 20 is pretty much a studio light because it only depends on the power supply. But you can actually use a power generator like this via AC here, but this thing costs in excess of $200, which defeats the purpose. So if you need V-mount or run this light on the DC, the Ninja 400 is a better option for you. So this lights for costing about almost $300, and this one pretty much $400. They still budget lights, but the construction here on the actual yoke, I can actually tell this is going to be holding a large modifier up to 4 feet wide or 120 centimeters. Those modifiers usually weigh 7 pounds. Both of these lights, they feature a locking knob made of ABS plastic, and for being a 200 watt light, I would recommend a softbox no bigger than 28 inches. And also, if you want to hook up a Fresnel lens right here, you might have to remove the disc and only have the bare tooth in between, so you can actually make this light more able to hold something really heavy in the front. But if you want to hook up a modifier such as the Godox QRP120, which is a 4-foot diameter softbox or 120 centimeters, this light should be able to hold, even though that modifier weighs in excess of 7 pounds. So the stress you're going to be putting here is pretty considerable. Now let's talk about fan noise. This is a commercial studio in the middle of the mall, so there's a lot of noise going on, so there will be no problem at all recording any video here with any light, a noisy light or a silent light, it doesn't matter. And also it depends on the type of microphone they use, because when you use a microphone like this, which is omnidirectional, it captures sound all over the place. When you use a shotgun microphone or a condenser microphone, which is pretty much directional, you have the chance to eliminate the noise, especially that the softbox, for example, this one here is about 6 feet away from my face. So this fan or this fan on the back, they shouldn't make a lot of difference. However, this fan is still slightly audible, but a tiny little bit. So the fan on the Ninja 400 Mark II, it is super quiet, even at full blast at 100%, even though this light, they feature a silent mode, which means you cannot turn off the fans completely, but the fan's RPM is going to reduce to probably 50%. I find that this light's heat output is a little bit excessive. It's a little bit too hot to my taste. Of course, you can still touch the light. It's not going to burn your hand, but I find it a little bit uncomfortable every time I touch the light. When I use for like half an hour or more, it gets pretty hot. This one here always remains cooler. However, the fan of this light is slightly louder than this one here. When you press the quiet mode on the Ninja 400 Mark II, the output is going to be reduced to 50% exactly, and this particular light is going to be reduced all the way to 20%. And again, this is a 200 watt light, and this is a 150 watt light. It's like having this light about 35%. Most of the reviews that I do today, I decide to actually make them on my commercial studio, so occasionally you're going to be hearing some background noise, people talking, FedEx, UPS, transiting here left and right, so I apologize about the extra background noise. Now regarding heat accumulation, it's going to depend what kind of modifier that you actually install in this light. For example, Fresnel lens always accumulates a lot of heat, especially a reflector with a grid. It does the same exact thing. When you use a soft box, there's a lot of breathing room inside, so it should be much better than a Fresnel light. I'm not saying that you can't use a Fresnel lens here, but I'm just trying to say that a Fresnel lens accumulates a lot of heat, which makes the light hotter, especially the light right there. Now look at both of these lights, just in case you try to combine as a key light and a fill light. I can actually tell the Ninja 20 is slightly magenta, and this one here is slightly inclinated towards the green, so that might not match okay unless you put a correction gel in front of this light. And this one here is a bicolor, and this one is a daylight only. The Ninja 400 Mark II comes included with the RC remote control, which I prefer remote over the app. It's just more practical to me, even though either one of these lights you can actually obviously control using the app. Don't use both the app or the remote control because you're going to cause some interference. As you can see, occasionally you're going to see the lights flashing or flickering, so turn off the app or turn off the remote. Right now the app is out. You can either operate these lights separately or together. Right now I have them all in the same channel and group right here. So right now 0%, the light turns off. 1%, it very quickly goes all the way up to 100%. Takes about less than 3 seconds. And again, the Ninja 20 is a daylight only, and this one here is a bicolor, so when you actually change the color temperature, look right here, you can actually change, but only that one is going to change. I'm having all the way to 2800 degrees Kelvin, and all the way to 70-some hundred degrees Kelvin, 6800 degrees Kelvin. Right now I have the Ninja 400 set to another channel, therefore this light is not going to respond, so the only light responding right now is the Ninja 400, as you can see right here. You can also change the color temperature very quickly. To use the app, make sure the remote control is powered off, and then you can actually control everything. The brightness, which is the power right here, and also the color temperature. Notice that only the Ninja 400 is going to change the color temperature because this is only daylight, right? And on top you can actually assign this light to different groups and channels, A, B, C, D, E, F, or channel 1 all the way to channel 19. Hit OK when you're done. And at the bottom, which only applies to the 400 Mark II for being a bicolor light, you can actually set presets to 3000, 4000, 5200, 5500, 6000, and so on. It also has Kelvin degrees. You can actually set to any temperature that you want the light to be set as. The shooting area displays is about 2700 square feet, and this light's aiming at the ceiling, which is already providing a diffuse light. They are pretty powerful, as you can see. You light the entire place right there. And the ISO that I'm using is only ISO 400, and the shutter is about 1/80th of a second, and the aperture is f2.8. The reflector that comes with the Ninja 400 Mark II is actually better construction than this one here. For example, the paint job on this one is better. This is a thicker reflector. This one here is slightly thinner material, and it is a matte finish and also scratches very easily, while that one does not. The actual waffle little design, or this little square that you see inside, again, is very similar to the other lights that, Aputure, Godox. This reflector, for being different inside, they can actually tell it's going to be reflecting different when you actually compare side by side this reflector and that reflector. Right now the light is off. I have the Ninja 20 right here with the soft box about 5 feet away from her. The camera is a Canon R3 set to ISO 250, aperture f1.8, and the shutter is 1/60th of a second in case you need to shoot the very bare minimum as far as the aperture goes and everything. So for this particular exposure, 9% is what looks right. Anything above, you start to get a little hot right here. So 9% with this light at this particular distance, that's what you get. Now let's crank it up to 100%. Now if you just want to adjust the shutter and keep everything else the way it is, a low ISO and wide aperture, you can actually crank this down all the way to 640. Or for example, you can shoot it at 100th of a second, close the aperture. The correct exposure will be about f4.5 or f5, depending on your taste. 4.5 looks good here, even f5. At 1/80th of a second, if you need to shoot slightly faster, like 1/125th of a second, you can actually have the aperture about f2.8 at ISO 100. Now if you want to go ISO 800, for example, which is the native sensor on most cameras, actually the aperture can be down to f9 or as fast as 1 2,000th of a second. Or anywhere in between, it depends on your taste, but I'm just showing you the extremes right here, what you can do. Now I have the light the way it is. I'm also going to show you how it looks like with a grid with this light. Now with a grid, you lose a little bit of light, so either adjust the ISO or the shutter. Now as you can see, the light is set to bare bulb. Right now the light is set to 1%. So I have about same thing, 9% with the bare bulb. It gives you this result. It's very similar to the softbox as far as intensity goes. So with the light at 100%, I have a 1/80th of a second in shutter, f6.3, ISO 250, all the way down to 100. You can get about f4, 1/80th of a second, or you can actually open all the way up here and shoot as fast as 1/320th of a second. Right now I have the reflector that came with the Ninja 20, and the camera, as you can see, is set with those settings right there, and the light is at 1%. What I'm gonna do now is to switch to the Ninja 400 Mark II reflector and see if we gain or lose anything here. Looks like we have to open the aperture a little bit, or it's technically the same, I don't know. The difference is minimal. Now if you need to highlight a subject with a reflector for some reason, it looks like either one reflector is great. I thought the other reflector was gonna at least bump another half stop brighter, but it looks like it's all the same. Right now let's do a brightness test between the two lights. The Ninja 20 is a 200 watt daylight, and the Ninja 400 Mark II is a 150 watt. They're both set to 5600 degrees cover right now. And I'm using a light meter. And right now I'm shooting at a very low ISO, which is 100. And just pay attention on these numbers here. So I'm gonna turn on this light. Light is set to 100%. And let's see what we have. f5.6.8, which is technically f8. Now we're gonna power this off and crank this up to 100% and see what we have. f5.6. So it's technically a half a stop down. So again, this light set to 5600 degrees Kelvin. We have approximately 4.8, 4.9. Now let's set to 6800 degrees Kelvin and see what we have. Same thing. Now let's do all the way down to 2800 degrees Kelvin. Then we have f4. Now I'm doing a test with the reflector. I'm going to use only the reflector that came with the Ninja 20. When I actually test the Ninja 400 Mark II, I'm also going to use this reflector right there to keep it consistent. With the reflector that came with this light, the light is set to 100%, and the spot is right here. So the result is f22. Now I'm going to be powering this off. Now let's put the same reflector right here to keep it consistent because they are different reflectors. Right now this light is set to 5600 at 100%, and the spot is right there. From f22 we go down to f16.2. So between this light and this light set to 100% maximum brightness, you're going to have almost a full f-stop with this light than with this light right here. Now I have both of these lights shining on my white background. Here's the reflector that comes with the Ninja 400 Mark II, and this is the reflector that comes originally with the Ninja 20. As you can see, the spots here, this one is a little bit wider, tiny little bit wider, and this one here is a rather more spotty. And also notice that the Ninja 400 Mark II has a slight green cast on the actual color, and this one here, the Ninja 20, has a slight magenta cast on the actual color. So if you plan to use both of these lights side by side, one as a fill light, the other one as a key light, it's not going to work well unless you color correct with a gel of magenta and green here. Otherwise, you're going to have to use two identical lights, or you can actually use a silver disc reflector to actually act as a fill. But just so you know, when you use these lights together on your face, for example, you're going to see a slight different color change. But most lights in this price category that you see on the market from several brands is always going to be one light being a little bit magenta and the other one a little bit green. But most people say if you actually leave the Ninja 20, for example, burning for several hours, many hours by the way, the color is going to be changing to green, which to me it doesn't really help because green is not good and magenta is not good. It got to be something as neutral as possible, right? But apparently they say that these lights will actually go back to green and will match this type of color here. And here's the back of the light. You power the light right here, obviously. Power it on. This knob will control the brightness from 0 to 1% increments all the way to 100%. And the 5600 degrees Kelvin, just remind you, this is a 5600 degrees Kelvin light. It's not going to be changing anywhere but 5600 Kelvin. And here's the fan button. By pressing this button, the light is limited to 20%. Doesn't matter what you do. You can go from 0% to 1 increments to 20%. Press this button again, and then you can actually pick it up all the way to 100% again. Press this thing again, goes back to 20%. Right now I'm going to be showing you guys the fan noise of these lights. This is the Ninja 400 Mark II, and this is the Ninja 20. So this light is currently on, this light is currently off. I'm actually wearing the lavalier right on my chest right here, and this is the sound that this light provides, which is technically silent. By blasting the light to 100%, the fan is still silent. You can't possibly hear this on the recording. Here's the actual microphone right here. And I'm gonna be aiming the microphone that way, about 4 feet away. Now the microphone is back to my chest. As you can see, you don't even need to utilize the silent mode right here because the light is at 100%. When you press the button, quiet, the light drops to 50% and the fan is even quieter. You cannot hear this. Now I'm going to power this off. And this is silence right here. Now let's power this on. I'm going to do the same thing, place the microphone in the other direction, about 4 feet away. I'm going to put the microphone back to my chest. Now let's test the quiet mode. Now the light is limited to 20%, and that's very quiet. I'm going to place the microphone right here. And again, about 4 feet away in this direction. This light is plenty at 20%, especially if you guys shooting shallow depth of field, that's not going to be a problem. And that's the end of my review. I hope you enjoyed the content that I provided here. And if you want to subscribe to this channel, I would appreciate it. And if you also want to use my affiliated links from Amazon and B&H, these links, they don't cost you anything extra. It helps the channel. I earn a tiny little commission here for the videos that I make. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comment section. I'll respond to everything that I see. So once again, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.